to see it like that, I have service, has come in my life to do service. And with that mood of, okay, thinking the swan of my mind wants to take nectar, I'm doing it good. I'm not going to dwell like a drain inspector into that bad things. Then we have an opportunity to be totally, eternally, infinitely joyful. We talked also about it, like that's the nature of us, to be eternally unlimited, joyful. But we have samskar, we have things, that's the ego who's seeing bad things. But we have to let it go. They say, let it go, let God. Let it go, let God be, And in that way, Lavanya?
Are you ready?
Yeah, on.
Okay.
You wanted to say something?
No, I just thought while you're taking the book, I'll just read the song.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. I have become completely joyful by surrendering myself at your holy feet. Our happiness has gone away, and there are no more anxieties. I see joy in all directions. Your 2 lotus feet are reservoirs of immortal nectar, where one may live free from sorrow and fear. I have found peace there now, and have given up the fear of worldly existence. I shall render service in your household, and not endeavour to enjoy the fruits of that service, but rather I shall strive for whatever pleases you, fully devoted to your lotus feet. Troubles encountered in your service shall be the cause of great happiness, for in your devotional service joy and sorrow are equally great riches. Both destroy the misery of ignorance. I have completely forgotten all past history by feeling great joy in my mind. I am most certainly yours, and you are indeed mine. What need is there of any other treasure? Bhakti Vinod, diving into the ocean of bliss, devotes all his efforts for your service and dwells in your house according to your wishes.
Beautiful, right? What need is there of any other treasure? Right? Lavanya? I don't know if it's on.
Yeah, she's okay. Go ahead.
Om Akyana Timarandasya Kyanangina Salakaya Sakshur Militanyena Tasmai Sri Kurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tuse Namaha. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, Adikanda chapter 9, and title is The Childhood and Pilgrimages of Sri Nityananda. He traveled through the different pilgrimage spots, touching upon the places of Venkatanata, Kamakostipuri, and Kanchi, arriving at last at the sacred river Kaveri. Then he proceeded to the famous holy place of Sri Rangam, where the merciful Lord Sri Ranganath receives opulent worship from his devotees. Thereafter, Lord Nityananda visited Hariksetra. He then visited the Risapa mountain Madurai and the Kirtamala, Tamraparni, and Uttara Jamuna rivers. In the Malaya hills, he went to the ashram of Agastya Rishi, having such a divine personality as their guest, spiritually enthralled all the residents. I read that before, so it's next page. They rolled in the sand and roared loudly, unabashed in expressing their sublime emotions, totally absorbed in the ecstasy of Krishna Prema. Their profuse, unrestrained tears purified Mother Earth, who felt she was receiving her greatest benediction. that was when Madhavendra Puri and Sri Nityananda Prabhu embraced each other while crying tears. Within their bodies, the different ecstatic symptoms of shivering, weeping, and horripilation appeared in endless waves. The presence of such devotional emotions confirms that Sri Chaitanya personally resides within them both. Lord Nityananda spoke first saying, excuse me, today, in one instant, I have received the utmost benefit from all my pilgrimages. My eyes have rested on the lotus feet of Sri Madhavendra Puri, and by seeing his transcendental love of Krishna, my life has become blessed and meaningful. Sri Madhavendra Puri sat speechless, holding Lord Nityananda to his breast, his voice choked with ecstatic emotions. Such was his feeling of love for Nityananda that he could not release him from his embrace. Ishvara Puri, Brahmananda Puri, and all the other disciples of Madhavendra Puri could receive spiritually what had just transpired, so their natural attraction and attachment to Lord Nityananda increased. In the past, they had seen many pilgrims in saintly garb, but now they realized that none of those pilgrims had actually possessed the transcendental gift of love of Krishna. In association and conversation with non-devotional persons, they had often been overcome with remorse. Thus they had taken to wandering in the forest, looking intently for Krishna and his pure loving devotees. Now they had found the purest of transcendentalists, and in this company they felt the burden of their despondency lift and the manifestation of Krishna prema within themselves. Nityananda and Madhavendra Puri passed blissful days together, which were filled with confidential Krishna conscious discussions. In both the Lord and Madhavendra Puri, this created an insatiable thirst for continued association. The deep, spontaneous love of Sri Madhavendra Puri would drive him into ecstatic trance, even if he just saw a dark rain cloud that reminded him of the complexion of Sri Krishna. Day and night he was intoxicated by his love for Krishna, sometimes laughing, the next moment crying, and sometimes making a great deal of noise, shouting, "Hi, hi!" Lord Nityananda was also drunk with the divine nectar of love of Lord Govinda. He stumbled, swayed, and fell repeatedly, often roaring with laughter. The disciples of Madhavendra Puri were in awe of the extraordinary deep love of their spiritual master and Lord Nityananda for the Supreme Lord, and they responded by continuously singing the name of Sri Hari. Steeped in the ambrosia of transcendental love, Sri Nityananda and Madhavendra Puri lost count of time. Neither knew when the day had turned into the night, or the night to day, and their surroundings simply passed into oblivion. Who can grasp the highly confidential topics that Sri Madhavendra Puri and Lord Nityananda discussed? Only Lord Krishna, the omniscient Supersoul, who knows everything. Sri Puri quickly grew so attached to Lord Nityananda that he could not imagine leaving his company. He spent every moment of his time with him. Sri Madhavendra Puri said, "Nowhere have I found the presence of such unlimited transcendental love as in Lord Nityananda. Wherever that love is to be found becomes my favorite place of holy pilgrimage. I am now convinced that the blessed Lord Sri Krishna is graciously disposed towards me, because I have found an intimate associate like Lord Nityananda. Wherever one meets Lord Nityananda, that place becomes the most holy place. The transcendental planets of Vaikuntha descend and are present there. Whoever associates with Lord Nityananda and hears from him will surely attain the purest devotional love at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. And whoever harbors even a tinge of apathy for Lord Nityananda is forever cast aside by Lord Krishna, even though he may be in the guise of a devotee. Unhesitatingly, Sri Madhavendra Puri expressed his deep affection for Lord Nityananda by his words and actions. The associates of Lord Chaitanya do not desire to act without the instructions of the Lord to guide them, nor do they feel slighted by taking such a humble position. Lord Ananta, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva all carry out their respective duties under the orders of Lord Chaitanya and thus maintains, create and annihilate this world. Unfortunately, the sinful atheists feel unhappy because they cannot accept this point. Such persons are not fit to be seen by the Vaishnavas. Yet see for yourself how Sri Nityananda is now most famous for inundating all the people of the three worlds with the treasure of love of Krishna. Sri Nityananda is the original devotee of Lord Chaitanya. His tongue is the abode of Lord Chaitanya's glories, vibrating incessantly the sublime pastimes of Sri Gaurachandra. One can obtain full devotion at the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya simply by worshipping Lord Nityananda. All glories to Sri Nityananda, the primeval Lord and first manifestation of Sri Chaitanya. It is only by his causeless mercy that the glorious pastime of Sri Chaitanya manifests within one's heart. By the grace of Sri Gaurachandra, one can become lovingly attached to Sri Nityananda. All obstacles and misfortunes in life are then extirpated as soon as the truth about Sri Nityananda becomes revealed within one's heart. Those who desire to overcome the material whirlpool and drown in the nectarian ocean of devotional service should worship Sri Nityananda. Many praise my Lord, saying, Lord Nityananda is like Lord Balaram, while others say, he is most dear to Lord Chaitanya. I hear various opinions about him, that he is a sannyasi or a humble devotee or an erudite Vedic scholar. People may say whatever is their desire and conjecture, without inhibition, stopping at nothing. Some may even go to the extent of saying that his connection with Lord Chaitanya is not intimate, that he is just a menial servant. None of this affects me at all. I simply pray that his lotus feet remain impressed upon my heart eternally. After repeated attempts to invoke good judgment in all people, if some sinful lot continues to criticize my Lord, then I will kick them on their heads to save them from imminent disaster. Those persons who misinterpret the playful remarks of Advaita Acharya Prabhu to Sri Nityananda as criticisms should realize that those remarks were actually shaded glorifications of my Lord. All the Vaishnavas associates of Lord Chaitanya are externally liberated and enlightened souls. What is sometimes wrongly understood to be disturbing arguments or abusive language used between them is actually one of the ways they express their deep love for each other and is part of their pastimes. An ordinary person is therefore discouraged from taking sides in such a mock fight, For if he criticizes any one of the parties, he then places himself in a most precarious position. One who follows Sri Nityananda without being critical of him becomes steadfast in his spiritual practices and will certainly attain the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. I intensely yearn for the day when I will see my Lords, Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Chaitanya, surrounded by all their devotees. Lord Nityananda is my absolute master. By taking shelter of his lotus feet and his instructions, let me serve and worship Lord Chaitanya. I greatly desire to study the Srimad Bhagavatam in the presence of Sri Nityananda Swarup, birth after birth. This is my humble submission eternally. All glories to the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya. You are fully independent to act as you wish. You can give me the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, or you can separate me from them. Therefore I pray that you, my dear Lord Sri Chaitanya, will mercifully grant that my whole heart and soul will eternally remain fixed at your lotus feet and at the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda. O Lord Chaitanya, Sri Nitai Chandra is devoted exclusively to you, so no one can attain his shelter without your blessings. Thus Sri Nityananda roamed throughout Vrindavan, waiting for Sri Gaurachandra to manifest his pastimes openly. The pilgrimage of Sri Nityananda Swarup was one of his transcendental pastimes, and whoever hears these narrations with devotion is crowned with the most precious gem of success, Krishna Prema. Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Sri Nityananda are my heart and soul. This humble servant, Vrindavan Das, offers his song at their lotus feet. Adikanda chapter 10, the marriage of Nimai and Lakshmi Priya. All glories to Lord Chaitanya, Sri Gaurachandra. He is the Lord of Lords and the most cherished love of Lord Nityananda. He possesses as eternal transcendental form. O Lord, mercifully look upon the conditioned living souls. All glories to you, for you are the best of the Brahmanas, the son of Sri Jagannath Mishra. All glories to your devotees, the most elevated souls. You are an ocean of compassion, and your beautiful eyes are like lotus petals. Be so kind, O Lord, as to grant this prayer. May I remain eternally absorbed in your magnanimous character. Please read in this chapter about Lord Chaitanya's pleasurable pastimes as a young scholar. He totally absorbed himself in scholarly pursuits, not finding time for anything else. After completing his daily Brahminical duties, early each morning the Lord of the universe, Sri Nimai Pandit, went to the house of Sri Gangadas Pandit. Students who respected him as an authoritative scholar and considered themselves his disciples accompanied him. At Gangadas's place, he conducted debates. Many students who were not in his group for the debate and who did not submit to his tutorship were affronted or slighted by Nimai and his followers. After establishing his arguments in the debate, Nimai would discuss the different points he had made with his group, just as the other groups would do. Murari Gupta was not amongst Nimai Pandit's group, so Nimai confronted him and refuted his arguments. Nimai wore his dhoti neatly wrapped around his slim, elegant frame, and sat amidst the students in the mood of a valiant prince. The sandalwood paste tilak decorating his forehead shone with a soft golden glow, and his exquisite and regular set of teeth were so effulgent that brilliant white pearls looked old and lackluster in comparison. At age 16, Nimai's youth blossomed like spring. He was beauty personified, and even Cupid fell captive to his charm. The erudition he exhibited in his pastimes as a scholar far superseded the knowledge and learning of Brihaspati. If any of the students tried to learn the scriptures on his own, Nimai was quick to taunt them. The Lord would challenge, "Who is here? Where is a great scholar to refute my arguments without even knowing the rules of proper conjugation?" Some persons try to understand grammar by themselves and fool themselves into complacency. Yet, in spite of their vanity, because of their ignorance, they cannot answer my arguments properly. They cannot even debate the arguments properly. Murari Gupta heard these provocative and boastful words of the Lord, but remained silent and continued to do his work. Still Nimai would not leave him alone. He taunted Murari Gupta at every opportunity, but seeing the calm reaction of his dear servant, the Lord was actually very satisfied. Once Nimai said to Murari Gupta, "You are a Vedic doctor. Why do you study grammar here? Go to your leaves and herbs and make a compound so you can cure the sick. Grammar is extremely difficult to learn. Here there is no mention of mucus, bile, or indigestion. How do you want to accomplish anything in learning grammar just by studying on your own? Rather go home and try to cure the sick." Sri Murari Gupta was the partial expansion of Rudra, Lord Shiva, and had a volatile temper. Yet Lord Vishwambar could not see a single trace of anger in him. In reply, Murari Gupta said, "O learned Brahman, please tell me one thing. I see that you taunt everyone. Why are you so arrogant? On what subjects have you not received a proper answer from me? Whether the discussion was on verb rules, astrology with its different purports, or other philosophical questions, I have answered them all. Now, without asking and waiting for a reply, you taunt me, saying, 'What do you really know? You are a learned Brahman, so why do you act like this? What more can I say?' All right, discuss and analyze what you have read today," said Nimai. Murari Gupta began his explanation, and the Lord immediately refuted them. Murari Gupta explained in a certain way, but the Lord would explain the same subject in another way. Neither the master nor his servant could defeat the other. By the Lord's influence, Murari exhibited great erudition, and Nimai was extremely pleased by Murari's explanations. The Lord placed his soft lotus hands on Murari Gupta, and upon receiving that sublime touch, Murari experienced indescribable bliss. This Nimai cannot be an ordinary person, though thought Murari to himself. How would it be possible for an ordinary person to possess such vast learning? My body felt such spiritual excitement just by the touch of his hands. I think that I should not be ashamed to learn under his tutorship. There is no one as intelligent or as learned in all of Navadvip." Then Murari Gupta, the Ayurvedic doctor, submitted to the Lord. "O Vishwambar, I will learn under your tutorship." In this affectionate manner, the master and his servant interacted. The Lord then took all his friends to the Ganga for a bath. The divine pastimes of Sri Chaitanya as a scholar were enacted in this mood. Sri Mukunda Sanjay is truly a very fortunate soul, for in his house in Navadvip, the Supreme Lord displayed many of these scholarly pastimes. Mukunda's son was studying under Nimai Pandit, and he himself was deeply attached to the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service. Annexed to Mukunda's house was a temple of goddess Durga, and in that courtyard, students came to sit around Sri Nimai, crowding the entire compound. There sat and taught Nimai Pandit, the best of the Brahmanas. It looked as though Lord Gauranga was holding a court of scholars. Nimai Pandit would deliver many explanations and establish many arguments, and then he would refute those arguments with new arguments. He often spoke out against other teachers in Navadvip. Once the Lord said, sometimes people do not even possess fundamental knowledge about conjugation, but because it is Kali Yuga, such a person accepts the title of Bhattacharya. Let me see if any one of these Bhattacharyas can find discrepancies in my argument and explanations. Then I will accept when they flout their big titles like Bhattacharya and Mishra. In this way the Lord would act like a proud scholar. None of his servants could understand his mood, nor could they recognize him as their worshipful Supreme Lord. Sachi Mata one day realized that her son had grown into a handsome young man, and she started thinking about his marriage. Sri Ballabha Acharya, a good and pious Brahmana, was then residing in Navadvip. He was equal to King Janaka, the father of Sita Devi, and in every respect his daughter possessed unsurpassed beauty. She was Lakshmi Devi, and the goddess of fortune in person. Her father was constantly thinking about finding a suitable match for her. By divine arrangement, Sri Lakshmi Devi once met Sri Gaurasundar on the banks of the Ganga. When they each had gone for a bath, Lord Gaurachandra immediately recognized his eternal consort and smiled sweetly at her. Lakshmi Devi also recognized her eternal master and offered him prayers as she clasped his lotus feet. Both the transcendental personalities recognized each other, and they returned home in blissful expectation. Who can understand such sublime and supramundane pastimes of the Supreme Lord? Again, by arrangement of the Lord, a Brahmana named Banamali came to visit Sachi Mata. After they exchanged respectful greetings, Sachi Mata affectionately offered the Brahmana a seat. Then Sri Banamala Acharya asked, "Why aren't you seriously considering your son's marriage? In Navadvip resides a very pious and elevated Brahmana. He is pure, he always follows the path of religion, and he is a descendant of good line of Brahmanas. His daughter is certainly not inferior to Lakshmi Devi in beauty, character or respectability. My son has lost his father," replied Sachi Devi. "Let him study further and grow a little older, then I shall certainly consider his marriage." The apathetic reply made Vanamali feel dejected, and he left Sachi's house. Nevertheless, by divine arrangement, on his way home, he met Sri Gauranga. As soon as the Lord saw Vanamali, he affectionately embraced him. "Please tell me who you were just visiting." inquired the Lord. I came to pay my respects to your mother, answered Banamali. I brought up the subject of your marriage to her, but I don't know why she didn't respond positively to it. The Lord felt silent, and having offered due respects to the Brahmana, he went home, smiling within himself. At home, he immediately spoke to his mother. Why didn't you favor the Brahmana's proposal? Sachimata was more than pleased, for she could understand the Lord's indication. The next day, she requested Banamali to return and told him, the proposal you made yesterday, I request you to please act on it immediately. After touching her feet in respect, the Brahmana went straight to the house of Balaba Acharya. Sri Balaba received the Brahmana with all respect and offered him the seat of honor. I think it is time you arranged your daughter's marriage, said Banamali. I have found the fit candidate for her. His name is Vishwambar. He is the son of Sri Jagannath Mishra, a very elevated and respectable Brahmana. Vishwambar is most scholarly, and he is certainly an ocean of all good qualities. Please consider these points and tell me how you feel. Balaba Acharya was extremely pleased. He said, only through accumulating immense piety could a girl get such a husband. If Krishna were pleased with me, or if the goddess of fortune were satisfied with my daughter, only then could I ever hope for such a son-in-law. Please do not delay. Proceed with this proposal and complete all the necessary details. However, first, one thing I must mention though. I feel hesitant to speak about it. I have no means to give anything as a dowry. I can simply give my daughter and 5 pieces of the auspicious haritaki fruit. Kindly convey this to them. The Brahmana was extremely satisfied with Balaba Acharya's attitude, and he returned to Mother Sachi's house with the news of his success. They are agreeable, he reported. Now we have to choose the right day and right moment according to astrological calculations. The news spread. Close relatives and friends were jubilant, and they all came forward with great enthusiasm to make themselves useful for the occasion. A special ceremony held before the day of the marriage was conducted at an auspicious time amidst festivities, where professional dancers and musicians performed. Brahmana priests sat in the 4 corners of the wedding area and chanted Vedic mantras. Okay, we stop here for today and we can continue tomorrow. Jai Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Ki Jai, Jai Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai, Sri Mansava Bhavana Das Ki Jai, Jai Srila Gurudev. Preeti, will you please? Jai Gurudev. Will you please chant?
Yes. Please forgive me.
Oh, that's not necessary. Jai Gurudev.
That's page 60.
Page 60, yeah.
Yeah. Shall I start?
I like that.
Om
Srila Bhakti Niyamalacharya Maharaj ki, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Sri Acharya Vrinda ki,
Jai.
Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki,
Jai.
Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Srila Dev Goswami Maharaj ki,
Jai.
Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki,
Jai.
Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga ki,
Jai.
Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki,
Jai.
Sabshara Sri Nityananda Prabhu ki,
Jai.
Sabshara Sri Mahaprabhu ki,
Jai.
Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki,
Jai.
Tulasi Maharani ki,
Jai.
Ganga Yamuna Chu ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat ki,
Jai.
Sri Navadri Dham ki, Sri Mayapur Dham ki, Sri Vrindavan Dham ki, Sri Purushottama Dham ki, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju ki, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat ki, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat East London Chapter ki, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat West London Chapter ki, Samata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Samata Vaishnava Mandala ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Nitya Gaur Premanande.
Jai.
How are you, Didi?
I am okay.
Yeah.
Just thinking of my dad.
Thinking of your dad. What was your dad's name?
His name is Shakti.
Sati?
Shakti. Shakti is power.
Shakti. Ah, Shakti Prabhu.
Shakti Prasad. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Chakravarti. Yeah.
Chakravarti. And to educate ourselves in, like becoming attached, more and more attached to chanting Holy Name, more and more attached to hearing about Mahaprabhu and Radha and Krishna. Because now with this internet, we are very quick distracted, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, maybe we're not so attached to material life, but that's in a subtle form, still some attachment.
This is
there.
great.
We all have that.
More we can do it. I feel sorry for my mom. She doesn't have any opportunity to go this kind of temple to go and chant. She is at home and she's getting depressed. So I am chanting for her to her peace and happiness.
Yeah.
I told her one person will be going before. So either you or dad. So someone other person need to survive. Keep yourself busy and do the chant and Guru Nam and all these things. So
And especially also service, whatever small. That is because service is everything. Because maybe in Hindu temples not so available.
and she doesn't get opportunity because we don't have any kind of this temple nearby. It's in Kolkata and we live little bit remote from the Kolkata. It's a village little bit.
Which is old.
Yeah. And she's 68. So I want her to get peace in the house and get maybe connected with the Lord.
Maybe somebody can drive her sometimes to.
I'm planning to go next month and maybe I will take her.
Yeah. There's also one month of us in Kalkali.
Kalkali, yeah.
And also Dundam Park.
Yeah, Kalkali one, my husband's dad, my father-in-law's 1 year death anniversary done there. So
Okay.
we normally go to Gauriya Math to do things.
Okay.
And my son's, like Brahman, they have things.
Brown threads, yeah.
Yeah, he is due this year
Oh yeah.
because he has to be done even year. He's 11, so you can do 11, 9, 13, not even. And, yeah,
Not even.
not even odd number. So he need to be get it done. So we'll do in one of the Gauriya Math or somewhere, and we are now organized over there maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know how you're gonna manage doing things, but in our culture we have to hold your head and then keep one little hair.
Well, in our tradition, it's like first you start chanting the holy name because chanting the holy name and doing some service, and because the Gayatri mantra is the Brahminical.
Gayatri mantra, yeah. Om Bhurbhuva
That's actually a higher stage. Yeah.
So maybe I will bring him for service more here.
Service.
And then let him chant little bit more.
Exactly.
Yes.
That will be nice.
He is very good. If I ask him,
We all love him. He's such a lovely
Yes,
boy.
he will listen whatever I say. So I will go and pick him up after. I'll stay here, do some service, and then I will go home because he's sleeping still because holiday.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna wear sari and come later on. Maybe they need some help or something. But thank you, Didi, all of your support, because otherwise it wasn't possible for me. All your support and all your